If you're one of the candidates who received the coveted MBA interview invite, I am ready to bet that I know what went through your mind. First, you got excited, and then you started to get anxious because there's so much at stake at the MBA admissions interview stage. But here's what you need to know and how to prepare in order to do really well in your MBA admissions interview. The first thing to remember is that all the questions are going to be about you. And the subject of you is one you should know well, especially after all the reflection you did in the MBA application process. But just to be sure, the first thing you need to do is reread your entire MBA application, all the materials that you submitted in the process, just so you can refresh your knowledge on the subject of you. Now, the first question that is most often asked in the MBA admissions interview is, tell me about yourself. Sometimes it's also framed as, walk me through your resume. So how do you handle this? Well, the first thing to remember is the MBA admissions interview is an exercise in strategic communications. So that question is most certainly not an invitation to retell every single detail about your background. Rather, you want to be very intentional about what are the highlights that you want to share when you're responding to that first question. So think about the most important facts about your education, career, and then for a more well-rounded picture, a few things about your extracurricular activities and who you are outside of work in your personal life. This is what needs to go into that first answer. Candidates most often worry about questions that start with, tell me about a time when. These are behavioral questions which ask for examples of how you deal with certain types of situations. In order to handle this part of the interview well, one thing you should not do is come up with an endless list of examples and try to memorize them so you can handle any question that comes your way. Rather, what you want to do is be strategic and create a list, a handful of examples that are really strong and fall in the typical categories such as leadership, teamwork, initiative, resilience, humility, and then you want to practice answering different kinds of questions using the same example and tweaking it lightly. Remember that each story, each example has to be told exactly like a story. You want the right amount of detail. You want to paint a picture so that for the interviewer, the experience is engaging and memorable, which is exactly what you should aim to be in your MBA admissions interview.